In the sands of Egypt, French archaeologists are uncovering treasures. Deep within some of the most famous tombs, they're carefully excavating remains from the ancient civilization of the Pharaohs. Down in the southern desert, they're studying how the ancient Egyptians lived and the techniques they used. They're also uncovering the secrets behind their beliefs. These archaeologists are from the French Institute for Oriental Archaeology. Every day they add another page to Egypt's fascinating history. Just 30 kilometers south of Cairo, overlooking the Nile Valley, lies the Sakara necropolis. This is where you'll find the Pyramid of King Djoser, the oldest pyramid in Egypt. It's 7 a.m. French archaeologist Vassil Dobrev arrives on site. Did you like it? Yes, the view is beautiful. Over there you can just imagine how the Egyptians once lived. Their city may have been right here. This whole area was once full of pyramid towns. The necropolis is massive, over 2 kilometers wide, stretching 7 to 8 kilometers to the south. Right in the heart of this vast and ancient burial site, Vassil Dobrev and his team are hard at work. It's a small crew of about 20 workers, digging here for 6 months out of the year. The site is located on a plateau that overlooks the desert. From here you can see the pyramids of Pharaoh Sneferu and his son Khufu. Djoser's pyramid is just a kilometer away, and nearby rest the pharaohs Pepi I and Pepi II, some of the most powerful rulers in ancient Egyptian history. So far, Vassil hasn't found another pyramid, but instead a group of tombs that may look modest from the outside but are extraordinarily rich within. When I first came here 10 years ago, there was absolutely nothing to see, just empty sand. But after a few years of clearing and digging, we began to understand. At first, there was nothing on the surface to guide us, no clues at all, so really, it was just luck that we started here. They've uncovered a small section of what they believe to be a cemetery, around 50 meters by 50 meters, about 5 hectares within a 15-hectare plateau. The structures look like small houses. Exactly, these are tombs designed like houses. Look, here's a hieroglyphic sign that says house. The Egyptian word for it refers to the surrounding wall. Inside the house, there's a snake symbol, which means eternity. So this is a house of eternity. Even today, locals call these ancient tombs the village tombs, a name that's lasted over 4,000 years. They still call them the houses of eternity. These tombs date back about 4,200 years and belong to important figures from the Old Kingdom, people who held high status in pharaonic Egypt. This morning, Vassil Dobrev's team is entering one of the tombs, which was first discovered 5 years ago. Today, they begin a crucial stage of excavation. The tomb belonged to a priest during the era of the pyramids, a man named Pepian. At the entrance of the tomb, there's an impressive statue of him. His burial shaft is about to be opened. The workers are preparing to clear it by building a wooden platform around it. Dobrev expects the shaft to be about 8 to 10 meters deep. It has been filled with sand for thousands of years. How do you feel at this moment now that you're starting to open the tomb of such an important person? Well, you never know what you'll find. You can hope, but it's rare to discover exactly what you expect. You always have to stay humble. After all, we're entering the tomb of someone who lived 4,200 years ago. First and foremost, we need to show respect and try to understand their story. Because he left us a message. This tomb wasn't just built for show. Muhammad, one of the most skilled diggers on the team, begins clearing the shaft and checking the safety conditions. Good news, the rock is solid, so the risk of collapse is low. I love it. It's a mountain that suits me perfectly, solid and steady. Soon, Muhammad starts finding interesting pieces, like a piece of plaster that might have fallen from the tomb's facade. The facade had been partially collapsed, but they've nearly reconstructed it. There might even be... From studying the tomb, Vassil has started to piece together the story of Pepian and his family. His eldest son is shown in the tomb offering sacrifices to his father after his death. The same hieroglyphics appear repeatedly on the tomb's walls, emphasizing Pepian's titles and name. His title translates roughly to Eyes of Pharaoh Pepi. He was in charge of resetting the temple priests. These priests had a specific role in the royal temple. They would dress and undress the pharaoh's statues, clean them, then redress them with fresh garments and jewelry. Twice a month every 15 days. That was his main job. He was a priest and a reciter. Not the highest official, not a vizier or a prime minister, but still someone important, someone close to the center of power. Pepian had 2 daughters. One figure is shown holding a staff, a sign that her father gave her authority. A woman is also depicted beside him, but her smaller size suggests a more intimate relationship rather than a family tie. She's not his daughter, she's called Imahout, which means she was retired and received a pension. Her name is Anjib, which means the one who brings life to the heart, or the one who makes my heart beat. She was a mistress, but they didn't call her lady. Yes, everyone knew. It's like today. You see a man with his wife, and everyone also knows who the mistress is. But she's not the lady. It was the same back then. She played a role in his resurrection because he wanted her to accompany him into the afterlife. When the tomb was first discovered, it was completely open to the sky. Vassil quickly had a metal roof installed to protect the treasures inside. Every tomb they discover is secured inside a locked structure. There's only one way in, and it's locked each night by the antiquities inspector. He even seals the lock with his own wax mark to make sure no one enters overnight. At the end of the workday, the team packs up. The workers return to their nearby villages, and Vassil heads back to Cairo. But one man stays behind, Mohammed, the site guardian. He has a small cabin, but according to the rules, he can't sleep in it. It's just used for cooking, making tea, and storing a few blankets. He stays outside like other guardians at archaeological sites across Egypt. They keep watch over one another, forming a human chain across the area. If there's an intruder at night, the alert goes out fast. I'm responsible for protecting my country's heritage. It's a part of me. These monuments belong to Egypt, to my children, my grandchildren, and they once belonged to my ancestors. It's my duty to guard them. Even a single grain of sand here holds great value to me. Each evening, when darkness falls, Mohammed is joined by a second guard who is armed in case anything happens. The next day at 7 a.m., the inspector removes the wax seal from the door, and the work begins again. Back at Pepianra's tomb, Mohammed has made significant progress. He's now halfway down the shaft. At this depth, he finds intriguing signs, holes drilled into the rock. Vassil thinks they were made to lower heavy items into the burial chamber. See here? We could have tied a rope, then lowered something down. That could have been a support system. To record everything, Vassil notes all the details in his excavation journal. Meanwhile, Mohammed spots what could be the start of a chamber. I touch something. It feels beautiful. I'm about 1.5 meters deep. This could be the burial room or maybe the funerary house, but it'll take a couple of days to be sure. While Mohammed digs, workers above form a human chain to remove the sand. They pass buckets from one tomb to another, across chapels and shafts. Along the way, they walk by dozens of burial shafts from the Old Kingdom, some 6 to 8 meters deep, where one wrong step could be dangerous. Eventually they reach another courtyard, discovered 5 years ago by Vassil. This is where all the rubble gets dumped. As they trace the path of the sand, it becomes clear how complex the site is. It's like a maze. You really don't want to get lost. They pass by the house of eternity of a priest named Haunefer who served King Peperomia. Next door lies Ruhi, another priest who lived about 4,200 years ago. To the right is the tomb of Intef and his father, both priests too. Today Vassil is restoring these ancient spaces. Over the centuries, blocks have fallen and cracked. Obaid, a skilled restorer, carefully returns them to their place. I want to put the block back where we found it. Why not? We're not restoring it for tourists or fame. We're doing it for the person buried here. He gave us the opportunity to discover his tomb and share it with others. But first and foremost, it's for him. This was his final resting place. He chose this location himself. This is his resurrection. Inside, metal rods have been added to reinforce the structure. These blocks were originally stacked and fixed with plaster. Now we're using rods to stabilize them, especially in case of earthquakes. It takes weeks to dismantle, excavate, and restore. During that time, Vassil studies what happened over 4,000 years ago. You can see how it was built. There are 10 big stone panels. They made a mistake. They carved the blocks too thin to support the weight above. Over time, they cracked. Not ideal for something meant to last forever. I think they were trying to cut costs. Thick blocks would have been better, but from the outside, it looks perfect. No one sees what's hidden behind the facade. To understand it all, you have to think like a detective. It's a real investigation. We're not solving a murder, but we are tracing the timeline of history. So far, Vassil has uncovered 3 houses of eternity, and is preparing to reveal a 4th. The surrounding walls still outline the courtyards below the sand. The workers have placed dark bricks around it for protection, and already, you can glimpse the wonders inside. Vassil has just discovered a new passageway, buried 3 meters under the sand, which leads into a tomb in the funerary complex. He's called in an official from the local antiquities office. From the debris, a stela emerges, bearing the name of the deceased. There's a figure here. The name starts with Nefer, possibly Min Nefer Her, meaning the beautiful face of Min. The inscriptions are remarkably well preserved. Bright blues, reds, and greens. One side shows offerings and the other lists them. But above all else, Vassil immediately spots the most important detail. This man was a priest in the pyramid of Pepi I. That same style of door appears in museums everywhere. It's known as the Door of Eternity, through which the deceased would symbolically pass into the next world. This is the portal to the afterlife, the gate of light, the door of exit. On this sacred doorway, the most important thing is food and drink. Everything is listed there. What's really impressive is how small the hieroglyphs are. This place has much more to reveal. Vassil wants to continue exploring logically, by entering from the buried outer door, but the lintel is cracked, so careful restoration work is needed. We took a shortcut like thieves, but eventually we'll return through the proper passage. On the lintel, a previously unseen inscription greets the visitor. Vassil uses an old archaeologist's trick to read it. Here I see Saur Ohati, a close friend of the pharaoh, and again the name Min Neferker. We've seen this name 3 or 4 times now, there's no doubt. This is his tomb, the beautiful face of Min. This tomb will surely reveal more surprises. But first, Vassil must finish working on the neighboring tomb of Pepi Anra. For the past 2 days, Muhammad has been digging tirelessly. The shaft is now 7 meters deep. The funerary chamber is only a few hours away. The big discovery will likely happen tomorrow. As the day ends, Vassil drives back to Cairo, 2 kilometers through the desert, then an hour and a half to the city center. They pass through Sakara, which looks close on the map, but in reality is quite far. The roads are rough, full of potholes, and the driving unpredictable. If you try to drive like in Europe, you'll cause an accident. Eventually he reaches home, his wife and 2 kids waiting. He's lived in Cairo full-time since 1995. Born in Bulgaria, now a French citizen, Vassil has become a little bit Egyptian too. He crosses the ring road, passes the Nile, and enters the capital. Garden City is his neighborhood, once full of 1930s villas, now home to banks and government buildings. It's also where you'll find the French Institute of Oriental Archaeology, or IFAO, where Vassil works alongside other researchers. It's a prestigious setting, echoing the great legacy of French Egyptology. The institute is based in the Palace of Maniel, named after the Egyptian princess who lived there at the end of the 19th century. A beautiful blend of Oriental charm and Art Deco. Since 1907, the institute has been publishing research. In a small printing house at the back of the garden, a vintage printing press still operates. Today, just for demonstration, they're printing old-style hieroglyphic pages. This place was the first in Egypt to print hieroglyphs, making ancient Egyptian knowledge more accessible, and laying the foundation for everything we know today. A treasure of knowledge. The specialized library for the study of Egypt is located on the first floor of the palace. This is the public reading room, explains Beatrix Midawaran, used by students and Egyptian researchers. Now she takes us deeper into the library, a part only accessible to professionals. This is the reading hall for specialists. And this is the main hall of Egyptology. Only experienced researchers come here. How many volumes does it hold? 87,000 in total. It's one of the most important libraries in Europe, possibly the most important, and definitely the top in Egypt. Beatrix is especially proud of the rare treasures inside, like a 17th century edition of one of the first serious attempts to decipher hieroglyphs, written by Cardinal Kircher, one of the greatest scholars of his time. Another prized book, a travel journal by Dutch explorer Cornelis de Bruin, dated 1698. He was the first European to enter the Great Pyramid. Interestingly, he drew the Sphinx inaccurately. 40 years later, in 1741, Danish explorer Frederick Louis Norden made the first realistic depiction of the Sphinx, complete with a broken nose. But none of this compares to what the French accomplished in 1798, when Napoleon opened up Egypt to Europe and brought along 160 scholars and artists. They created over 1,000 detailed illustrations of Egypt, later compiled into the monumental Description de l'Égypte. Today's researchers at IFAO see themselves as the modern heirs of those early pioneers. Back to Sakara. The next morning in the desert of Saqqara is a big one for Vassil Dobrev. He hopes to unlock the final secrets of the priest Papianer by entering his burial chamber. He joins Muhammad, his chief digger, who's reached a depth of 7 meters. They've just found a massive carved stone, likely the threshold of the tomb entrance. Just 1 more meter to go, Vassil estimates. Then suddenly, there it is, a small opening. A broken slab, probably damaged by tomb robbers in ancient times. The tomb appears intact. The walls are smooth, white sandstone with no decorations visible. It's all been preserved very well, Vassil notes. He suspected a high-status tomb would be down there. The shaft was unusually wide, and the funerary chapel above was well decorated with titles, family names, and references to the king. This wasn't just anyone, he says. He was the living eyes of the king. That means something. Vassil had been hoping for a tomb like this since he discovered the nearby tomb of Hanefer 8 years ago. That one, while beautifully decorated, turned out to be just a simple pit in the rock. But this one had architecture, a real, solid structure. Suddenly they hit an obstacle, 2 massive stones blocking the tomb. Is anyone in there, Vassil wonders aloud? To find out, they'll have to lift the lid, carefully. After an hour they open the stone sarcophagus. It's big, about the size of a full coffin, made of white limestone. Clearly a high-quality tomb, the kind that would have taken great effort to build. Inside, nothing valuable, just a few scattered bones. The burial must have been looted long ago. The bones are sent to a team of anthropologists working nearby. Led by Dr. Roxy Walker from the University of San Francisco, they examine the skeleton. Their conclusion? The body doesn't match the profile of a high priest. The man was muscular, especially in the right arm, likely a laborer, not a scholar. It probably wasn't Papianer after all. The mystery remains unsolved. Vassil will now shift his focus to the next tomb, one that might be even more exciting, the 4th house of eternity. New digs, new surprises. After a 2-day break, the workers return, greeting each other like long-lost friends. It's tradition. As Vassil arrives, they begin setting up for the next dig, TG4, short for Tibet El Gish 4, the 4th hill in the area. Not far beneath the surface, they quickly find something, a painted wooden coffin from the late period of Egypt, around the 5th century BCE. It looks like a woman, says Vassil, studying the yellow-painted face. Men were usually painted red, women yellow. This one's clearly a woman. But the coffin is fragile. The paint is flaking from sun exposure. Gently now, go easy, he instructs the team. They document everything as quickly as possible. Archaeologists must never rely on memory alone. After cleaning it up, they find the bottom of the coffin is broken, but it's otherwise intact. Then just below it, they find another coffin. This one's a man, positioned facing west, the traditional orientation for Egyptian burials. The west is the land of the dead, Vassil explains. It's where the sun sets, where Osiris rules. The face is painted directly on the wood, the rest of the body wrapped in linen, covered with plaster and painted. Only fragments remain now. The coffin was made of multiple wood pieces joined with nails and glue, painted to look like one solid piece. Abid, the restoration expert, carefully reinforces the paint with cotton and fabric before lifting the coffins. Each weighs over 100 kilos. They're moved temporarily into the Old Kingdom tomb of Papianer for safekeeping until they can be transferred to the mission warehouse. And so the day ends. The team places a bucket over the tomb's lock, an old-school security method, and signs off for the night. Subscribe and discover the forgotten past with us. Like, comment, and support our journey to uncover the truth and the adventures of the ancients. See you!